Right. Good afternoon, class. Okay, so today on our order of operations and evaluating expressions lesson, we're going to start by reviewing a couple key terms. The first thing we're going to do, we'll begin by reviewing what is a power. Now, in order to talk about a power, it's best to talk about how occasionally I'm lazy. And so let's begin by writing over here 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm already tired. That's a lot of 2's to write down. That's 2 factored 5 times. Now, with a power allows us to write that using a shorthand. Now, what a power does is a power has 2 parts. It has a base and an exponent. And so I'm going to rewrite this as a power. And I can rewrite this like this. 2 to the 5th power. And so what happens is this big number, the 2, is known as the base, and this little superscript, the 5, is known as the exponent. And it's kind of a shorthand way of writing successive multiplication. And so now if I want to write a definition, a power has 2 parts. And yes, I want you to add this into your notes. Alright? A base and exponent. Alright? Alright, so the exponent oh, whoops, let me pause that. Sorry. That's the wrong way. Tells us how many times we use the base as a factor. So in this case, I use the base 5 times as a factor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 2 to the 5th power. Okay? And so obviously, if I wrote 5 squared, I can write that a long way as 5 times 5. Alright? And I would read it as 5 squared. Or 5 to the 2nd power. Just like over here, I would read this 2 to the 5th power. Alright, let's move on. Now let's talk about simplifying. So when you simplify a numerical expression, is when you replace a large expression with a single value. Right? So when you replace the reason why I want to go over what simplify is because for the rest of today, in the lesson and in class, I'll be using the word simplify a lot. So I want to make sure you all knew what simplify meant. So now let's get to the lesson. So for the first problem, I have a couple of expressions. And for the first one, I have a first expression, and I want to simplify the powers. So the first one is 10 to the 7th power, is how I would say it. And I want to simplify it. So to begin, I'm going to first begin by simply writing it out. So 10 to the 7th power means 10 factored 7 times. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now I'm going to get my trusty calculator, because I can't do it in my head. And if I get the mathematics, it should be 10 million. And so now I've simplified it because I've taken a more complicated expression and made it into a simple numerical value. Let's try the second one. So the second one, this is definitely looks a little more intimidating. But once again, I'm going to simplify it. So this is 0.2 to the 5th power. So once again, I'm going to take the base, right, this is the base, and this is my exponent. I'm going to take my base, and I'm going to factor it a total of 5 times. 3, 4, 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I type it in my calculator, and if you want to, you can verify, I get 0.123. There we go. And so I've now simplified 2 powers. Now next thing we're going to do, we're going to quickly review, this is actually we did something last week, but now we're going to take it to the next level, is we're going to simplify more complicated numerical expressions. And so to help us remember how to simplify more complicated numerical expressions, we have the order of operations. Now if you guys remember, if you don't remember, here are the rules. I wrote them down over here for you guys. And I know for some of you guys, we have our PEMDAS. So please excuse my dear Aunt Shanae. Now if you remember, parentheses, exponents, aka powers, multiplication or division, whichever comes first from left to right, and then addition or subtraction, whichever comes first from left to right. So once again, the instructions are here. So now let's take this, and for our second question, we're going to simplify a numerical expression. So once again, we have, this is a numerical expression because we have only numbers. So now we're going to try to follow PEMDAS, or the order of operations. Now the first thing I do, my first step is look for any sort of parentheses. If I look here, my first step is I see that there are already parentheses. My first step is I'm going to subtract within the parentheses. And so I get 6 minus 2 makes 4. And I'm going to simply rewrite everything else. My second step is I see we have that exponent there. So I'm going to do my exponent using exponent. And so I'm going to type in on the calculator 4 to the 3rd power, which is the same as 4 times 4 times 4. And then if I get that, it's going to give me the number of 64. And then as my third and final step, I'm going to divide, which gives me an answer of 32. Alright. Now for this next one, I haven't been mentioning to you guys. As a reminder, if you want to, feel free to pause the video before I go to this next question. Alright, so if you solved it first, check your answer. If not, we can go over it right now. This one I want to simplify it. So now, if you're looking at it, now be careful now. This is a fraction. So the way we're going to simplify our fractions, we're going to simplify the numerator first, so that's the top part, and then we're going to simplify the denominator second. And then we're going to finally combine the two by dividing. Okay? So let's try to look at the numerator first. So in the numerator, I see that we have an exponent. So I'm going to use the exponent. If I do that, 2 to the 4th power gives me 16. And then I'm going to subtract. And then lastly, I can divide, because we all know that this fraction sign is basically division. And of course, I haven't mentioned before, but I should be, as always, putting a box around my final answer. Alright, cool. So far you guys are okay with this. So now, you're feeling pretty good. Let's go to the next level. Let's shake it up a little bit. So now let's get to good stuff. So besides evaluating numerical expressions, we can also evaluate algebraic expressions. Now if you remember, an algebraic expression is anything with variables in it. So right now, I want you to evaluate this expression. Now right now, this one has a bunch of x's and a bunch of y's, and right now you're looking at me starting like, I don't know how to do this. Now if we look carefully, let's read the question. What is the value of each expression if x is 5 and y is 2? Now to do this, first thing we're going to do, the first step is we're going to substitute. So what that means is I'm going to replace every x with 5, and every y becomes 2. So this becomes 5 squared plus 5 minus 12 divided by 2 squared. Now if you notice, this to be extra safe, whenever I put something to exponent, I tend to put it in parentheses. Okay, so let's work it out now. So now my second step is I'm going to follow my order operations. Well, I see we have 2 exponents, so I'm going to now use the exponents. So 5 squared is 25. And we know that 2 squared, which is 2 times 2, is 4. Okay. I used both of them in one step that I could have done in 2 steps. Next, I'm going to divide Alright, and now I have addition and subtraction. They have equal value, so I'm going to go from left to right. So first, because addition comes first, I'm going to add, and then finally, I'm going to subtract. So I get 30. I'm going to put a box around my final answer, and done. Alright, now once again, this is your chance. Feel free to pause the video. If not, I'm going to do this one kind of quickly. Alright, let's get started. Once again, the same 2 values in which x is 5 and y is 2. So I'm going to write it. 5 times 2 squared divided by 5 times 2. So I'm going to do my parentheses first. Got 2 numbers inside. So I get 10 squared divided by 10. Then I'm going to do my exponent. Alright, and my last step seems to be dividing. And then I put my answer in the box, and I'm all done. Alright, so now, last but not least, I know we're running a little long today, I'm sorry guys, I want to talk about this question. Zoom out. Let's read this question. want to, the I'd recommend this question, if you want to, guys, maybe read it yourself, figure out what you know you need and plan, and then watch the rest of the video and see if it makes sense. Alright, so let's read it together if you've already done it. So now what it says is, what is an expression for the spending money you have left after depositing 2/5 of your wage in savings? Evaluate the expression for weekly savings of $40, $50, $75, and $100. So what do you know? Well, you know that you're going to save 2/5 of your money, right? And they give you different wages, right? So you have different salaries. You have 40, 50, 75, and 100, right? What do you need to find? Well, they want you to find an expression. So what expression for the spending of money you have left? So we need some sort of expression. And we need to know is how much money do we have after we save? So how are we going to do this? Well, first off, I think we're going to begin by writing some sort of expression. So we're going to write an algebraic expression, and then finally we're going to use a table. Right? So this is our game plan. Alright, so let's try to figure out what's happening. So we look at what's happening, think about the money. So every week you're making some sort of cash. And we're saying that you save 2/5 of your money. So whatever wage you make, you're going to take 2/5 of your wage away. And what's left over is what you save, is what you keep, what you can spend. Right, so your wage minus 2/5 of your wage, which is how much you save, what's left over is what you keep. So now let's try to write that as some sort of expression. Alright, so if I use maybe a variable, let's say I use a variable W. W equals wage. Then a good expression could be wage W minus 2/5 my wage W is going to equal to my, this expression represents how much money I have left after savings to spend. Alright, so here we go with my quick table over here. Wages W minus 2/5 wages, and then my total spending money. So I'm going to put my money here, 40, 50, 75, 100, and then I'm going to plug in. So if I only made $40, and this is when a calculator comes in very handy, I'm only going to have $24 to spend. If I make $50, I'm only going to have $30 to spend. And that's it. So now, at the end of the video, I'm actually going to conclude by writing a quick 1 or 2 sentence summary describing what the video is about, and then lastly, write one question that you have so we can answer it. We can begin tomorrow's class by answering any questions you have. So give me any questions, something that's confusing, something I understand. Maybe, for example, this last question I went kind of fast, and we'll be sure to begin tomorrow's class answering those questions. Alright, sorry for the long video. I'll make sure tomorrow's video is shorter. Take care.